Hello, and thank you for viewing my video. My name is Brian. In this video, we will expand on the basic network built in the previous video for CIDR, aka classless interdomain routing. In this video, we will touch on EIGRP routing, IP helper addresses, and configuring the WAN connection. For ease of demonstration, we will build these networks using Cisco's Packet Tracer program, which is free for download at cisco.com. Requirements for this network exercise: add branch office. Configure a new branch office router and switch. Add VLANs for sales and IT. Configure EIGRP routing. Configure DHCP pools on HQ router to provide addresses at the new branch office. Great, let's get started. Here is the network built in the previous CIDR exercise. It's a basic HQ building network for the growing fictitious company XYZ Corp. We currently have 6 VLANs defined and can route traffic in between them. Let's add a router for the new branch office. And a switch. I'm going to create the boxes to visually represent the VLANs at the new office. I'm going to label each VLAN. Reno Sales VLAN 10. Reno IT VLAN 14. We only need the 2 VLANs as the branch office doesn't house all of the departments that headquarters does. Our headquarters router is already configured with the WAN serial interfaces that we will use. We need to add the modular WIC interfaces to the branch office router. Packet Tracer requires you to power off the equipment before adding interfaces. I'm going to also add some additional Ethernet interfaces. Time to add some equipment in the remote office, then cable everything up. Straight through Ethernet cables for the computers to the switch. Going to use a straight through cable as well for the switch to the router. And finally, cable the serial link between the 2 routers. Now we can start configuring the new equipment. I'm going to change hostname and turn off domain lookup. Next we need to add the 2 VLANs. Then we can configure the switch ports the computers are connected to. Quick check to make sure the VLANs are correct and the ports are in the right VLANs. Everything looks good so far. Time to configure the switch port connected to the router as a trunk port. Time to configure the branch office router. First configuration is hostname, then shutting off domain lookup. I always turn off domain lookup when I'm initially configuring the router, because when it's on, and you fat finger a command, the router thinks it is a hostname and tries to look it up. And it takes time to error out. Now we configure the interface connected to the router and create the subinterfaces for the VLANs. We need the IP scheme for the branch office, here in my fancy IP address manager. I've used more sophisticated IPAMs, like info blocks, but for this small network a spreadsheet will work, as long as we keep it updated. And final interface configuration on the WAN link. Check the IP sheet one more time for the interface IP. Now a show IP interface brief command to make sure everything looks good. Interfaces are up and IPs look good. Let's label the WAN interfaces. A quick check of the interfaces. Now we can try a ping to the Reno branch office router. Success. Next step is to build the DHCP pools for the branch office on the headquarters router since it's already set up as a DHCP server. I have the configurations for the DHCP pools in a text file that I will copy and paste into the router. We need to add the DHCP addresses to be excluded. These will be the Reno router's LAN IP addresses and the Reno switch's VLAN addresses. If we don't add these, DHCP will assign these addresses to a computer and end up with an IP conflict that can cause all kinds of havoc on the network. Let's double check the pool config with a show run command. DHCP IP requests from nodes are broadcasts. However, broadcasts are contained in a LAN, and the router will not forward them by default. So the branch nodes have no way right now of sending these IP requests to the DHCP server that is on another network. The fix for this is to use the IP helper address command. We configure this on the router interface nearest the nodes making the request, and we use the IP address of the network interface closest to the DHCP server. In this case it's the WAN IP address of the HQ router. There is no output for the show IP protocols command, meaning there are no routing protocols set up. Even though simple static routes could easily work on a network like this, I'm going to go ahead and set up a routing protocol anyways. I'm going to use Cisco's EIGRP protocol. I'll first turn on IP routing with the IP routing command. Next issue the router EIGRP with an autonomous number of 100. Next add the network addresses, and because we are using classless network addresses we need to add a wildcard mask. And to turn off auto summary. Without turning off auto summary, EIGRP will summarize the network addresses on their classful boundaries. We need to set this up on both routers in order for them to share routes and allow full connectivity between the new Reno office and the HQ building. Almost instantly we can see the neighbor adjacencies come up. Now we can run show IP route to see the EIGRP learned routes. Those are the entries with the D next to them. We see the EIGRP learned routes on both routers. We can now ping interface IPs in the other office. Let's check our computers in the Reno office and make sure they are getting DHCP addresses. It's working perfectly. I'm going to add the visual representation of the WAN network. Recapping the exercise. Add the new branch office router and switch. Configure the WAN link. Configure new DHCP pools for the branch office VLANs and add helper address, so the router will pass the IP broadcast requests to the DHCP server at headquarters. Configure EIGRP routing and test connectivity. And last but not least, document. Please give a like and subscribe, so you will be notified when more videos are added.